The Play's the Thing, with your host, Judy Sleed, and special guest, Jeff Sleed, editorial sports consultant. And now here's Judy.
Thank you so much, Lee, the real Lee Davis, for such a wonderful introduction. Of course, you've been doing this all this time, and I have Jeff Sleed as my guest, and I'm wondering, you have the same name. Are you related to me? Did we ever figure this out?
Actually, it's the first time I've seen you before, but since I do have the same last name, I am from Texas visiting you. I just thought I'd help you out with your TV show. And thank you for having me. I'm your son, by the way.
Oh, but Jeff really came to see me from Texas. Nobody else wanted to come to this show, so he flew in and surprised me. So this is
I'm as surprised as you are that I'm here right now.
Yes, and this should be a nice momentum for us to put away for our...
Show our grandkids, but that would be a little...
Yes, for our grandkids.
You know, I've kind of been in this position before, as you know, being my mom. I was a sportscaster for News 12 Long Island, and I guess I feel more comfortable being in the host position than the interviewee position. So,
yes.
Would you mind if we just kind of flip things around, and could I interview you for the remainder of the show?
Oh, my goodness. Well, okay, that sort of takes the pressure off me, because I'm always thinking what we can talk about and all that, so I'll just relax, but be careful what you say.
Okay, because my mom's listening.
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, tell me a little bit about how you happened upon this show. I think the latest Nielsen's I saw something about 3.8 million viewers every time you're on. And
oh, yes, well, it's because it's so successful. It was actually a fluke. Well, as you know, I always dabbled into showbiz, and I'm coming from a showbiz family, but this particular show, this is LTV in Wainscott, and I was always interested how to do the cameras and, you know, behind the camera, and they had a class, how to be a producer, and I enrolled in that.
I know that you have 2 other children, so you produced 3. Oh, you're talking about as...
yes,
okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, you had mentioned something about coming from a showbiz family, and so when you complete your first thought about how you happened upon hosting this show, we're going to get into that. But please, continue.
Okay, so I took the course here with John Bonsi, who one of the people here at LTV, and then they said, okay, you could have a show anytime. So I said, really? I could have my own show? I could anything I want? Sure, let us know when. So I've been thinking this, that, and the other thing, and I came up with this name, and because I'm involved in Guildhall, which is the theater here. We are in Wainscott, that's in East Hampton. So I figured I'll have a show with local entertainers. They don't get a chance to be around on movies, whenever. So I started that, and it became quite successful because people who come on, they like it. And as a matter of fact, Ruth, she's gonna, Applehoff, who's the executive director of Guildhall, she came on the show and she was just expressed so much interest in this, and she said, Judy, this is a wonderful thing you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as evidenced by the legions of fans outside the building that you had to get through just, you know, to get to here where we are today. But you had said that you had a show business background.
Yes.
Yes. I know because I'm your son that you're from Hungary, and that everybody says, where's your mom from? What part of New York? It's actually different part of the world. So you have come from a different part of the world, and your family was in entertainment before you were here in this country. Is that correct?
Oh yes. Before I came, I grew up with famous people around me. Well, first of all, the house that I lived in, they lived there was a girl who was Budapest, Hungary's equivalent to Shirley Temple. She made 2 huge movies, and as she grew up, she didn't make any more movies, but she lived there, and I used to play with her. And then we went to the ballet lessons together, who was also my mother's cousin's husband. He was Russian. He had a world-famous ballet studio there. Troyanov was his name.
Of course.
Then my mother's cousin was a famous movie star in Budapest. And you probably heard about that because you printed out some Hungarian...
You asked me to look something up online, and it was kind of neat to see just, family history, back in the marquee lights. But so you had that.
And then also my uncle, my mother's brother, was a journalist and a novelist.
So it's been in your blood, so to speak?
Yes, so I'm not really impressed when I see famous people because I was
Although the other day when Ed Asner was here, you just couldn't wait to get his autograph.
That's true.
So,
Yeah, well, I do that all the time. Anytime I go to any show, and I go to a lot of shows where are children there, and I ask autographs, and they are so delighted.
And somebody's asking for their autograph.
Yes,
yeah.
Because I said, well, you're going to be famous, you have to get used to that.
Right, right. So how would you explain the checks that you had them sign?
Well...
Anyway, so you're here in the United States. You've been here for quite some time, and I remember, when I was a kid, that you used to do some shows, like things that you have written, that you'd have these readings for, these plays, and I always found that to be really, cool. That my mom's a writer, and still waiting for the day where you're a famous playwright or whatever. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you are, and everything that I've seen that you've done is as good as anything I've ever seen. So. Maybe can you recall some of those
Well,
times?
one of them I remember that, what was that? Georgie Day, the musical.
I see you remember it well.
That's a different show. But one of the people who came to audition was Dom DeLuise, who was John DeLuise's nephew or something.
Yeah, it was Dom DeLuise's cousin or nephew.
Yeah.
Dom is the famous one, and it was
and this was John. His name was John. I still have his resume. Yeah, and you used to take the phone calls, and you arranged for them to come to audition or read for the part. That was one of them.
What about some of the other things that people may not know about, like music? Because I remember you were always playing the piano, and I was just blown away when I heard an arrangement of a song that you wrote performed by like a local band, and it just sounded like a top 40 record, and I was thinking, man, my mom's going to have a top 40 record. That was so cool.
Yes, and then I remember that you told everybody that you sang.
Yeah, so I've had a history of that kind of behavior for a while.
No, that was cute. I thought it was cute that you liked it.
Well, nobody do, and I'm trying to pick up girls. And
yeah, I know. It was one line. And what else? You came to see me. Oh, when we finally did Georgie Day in New York City, we hired a hall. I remember that I was on stage and I wore a dress that was a little low cut, and you were embarrassed to see me.
I remember that too. It's still I have nightmares about it. But Georgie Day is a character. The play that you wrote was based on a character named Georgie Day, who, if I remember correctly, was an immigrant trying to come to this country.
Yes, and he changed his name to Day, because in Hungarian his name was Day, Big. Well,
so he changed it from Day to Day.
Yes.
I wonder what it'll be tomorrow.
Yes. Maybe I should have called him Georgie tomorrow.
There you go. You didn't have to worry about that. By the way, I should have asked you before we started, do we take any breaks?
No.
No? We just keep going, huh?
We
All right,
just
then.
keep no breaks,
So,
and no refreshments. We have the water here, and we have lovely flowers, compliments of Lee Davis.
Thank you, Lee.
And we don't have any special feature. I was thinking of, somebody suggested I should have some special feature on the show, but I couldn't come up with anything solid. But so far I had no trouble talking with people for half an hour. There's always something to talk about, and also sometimes we run out of time before we know it.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something if that happened here? Let me, we'll flip back because we were telling the story before we came on, and we had said about you getting Ed Asner's autograph. I thought perhaps the audience would like to know about how my son Jordan got his name.
Oh, do tell, please.
Okay.
That's a good story.
Well, as a member of the media, as you know, you're prohibited, you're asked not to get autographs. And so my entire 22 years I've been with NBC, I haven't gotten any autograph. But when my wife became pregnant with our first child, she and I had met at a basketball game. And so I thought Jordan would be a great name, since she and I had met at a basketball game, and Michael Jordan, greatest player ever, and she said, we'll name him Jordan under one condition: if you can get Michael Jordan to autograph a ball to him before he's born. So I arranged for that to happen, and then I remember it was April 26th, 1998. A month and 2 days before my son was born, a playoff game. Michael Jordan came out of the locker room afterwards. I had arranged for this to happen beforehand, and he hands me the ball, and he looks me right in the eye, and he says, "You owe me big time." And on the ball, it says, "To Judy Sleed, welcome, Michael Jordan." And that's the only autograph I've ever gotten since I've been a member of the media. And yours, of course, which I appreciate, especially when I'm low on money and things like that.
And isn't that the time when Cindy Adams wrote that up?
That's right. That's right. I was a little upset with you about that because it said I was
Yes.
a producer when in fact I was an editorial consultant. But
Yes.
you know, little things like that shouldn't matter.
But
You know, who's going to remember that?
But I remember you were very annoyed about that.
Well, the thing, I didn't know that you were going to do anything like that, and so I started getting calls from people at NBC asking how come I was in Cindy Adams' column. You know, and I wasn't like arrested or anything like that. It was unusual to see. That if you would have mentioned it beforehand, I don't like to be, you know, caught by surprise. Hold on a minute. Oh, sorry.
What happened?
No, I was trying to make a joke because my phone was ringing.
Oh.
It's, yes? I'm sorry, I'm very busy. You'll have to call back. Okay. Anyway.
Who was that, the president?
No, it was somebody wanting to know if I wanted long distance.
Oh, I see. And that you left so in a hurry that you left half your clothes in San Antonio.
Yeah, that would make sense. I've actually inherited the estate of the late singer Kurt Cobain, and this was one of his T-shirts. I really was sure that I packed all my nice things in this one bag, but I left them at home. So they're en route, perhaps with some overnight mail company right now, and this is the best I got, which is...
well, it's a good thing that you had that.
Either this or a white T-shirt.
Yeah. And also,
figure.
Yes. And I like the way you're growing a beard now.
Yeah, another thing, you know, you'd think I'd be able to afford a razor, but
yes.
You know, that's stayed as well. And this is like 2 months without a haircut.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, actually, you look wonderful, Jeff. You really do.
Through the eyes of a mom, well said.